Welcome to the Women Leaders Association Daily Member Podcast, where we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. I'm your host, Julianne Kirkland. And in each Daily Member Podcast, we will pick out a great speaker from one of our meetings that we thought you would enjoy. You can access hundreds of recent speakers, book summaries, great articles, and more at no additional charge through your membership portal. If you would like to get involved in a Women Leaders Association mastermind group or find a networking group near you, or if you just need access to the membership portal, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com to be connected. Now let's tune in for this incredible message.
Heather Childress is a Senior Vice President, Deputy Counsel at Flex. Heather is an experienced legal executive with over 20 years of industry experience. She was named a Woman of Influence in 2021 by Silicon Valley Business Journal. Heather is devoted to making a positive impact on the community through action and is a strong proponent of gender equality in the workplace.
Thank you. I'm the least techie savvy person ever, so we'll see if I can figure out this clicker. Also, I feel like retrain the brain, check. Imposter syndrome, check. I've definitely just don't crack under pressure. I ran into one of my colleagues in the hotel lobby today, and she said, "Wouldn't it be ironic if you just freaked out in the middle of the thing and ran out?" And I was like, "That's not helpful. Thank you." So just a little bit, why do we do the things we do? This is my family. I also like football, so good times. So a little bit about my company, which might explain how I continually seem to be in high pressure / crises situations and how to remain calm. So for those who don't know Flex, I wouldn't be surprised because I feel like we're the largest company most people don't know about. We're basically the third largest manufacturing company in the world. So we design and manufacture pretty much like a part or the whole thing of everything you have. An example, for pre-COVID, we had not ever manufactured a ventilator. And I believe during COVID and after COVID, we manufactured more ventilators than every other company in every other country combined. Yeah, you're welcome. I didn't do it, but I like to think I helped somehow. So we're in a lot of different countries. So you can imagine with geopolitical tensions going on and supply chain issues, there's just constant pressure. And we would all lose our minds if we didn't have coping mechanisms for how to handle the pressure. You all have lived through this and are living through this. So it's, the unprecedented global changes. Coronavirus, I would say, fundamentally changed the way that we live and the way that we work. Some ways for the better. I think we kind of reprioritized, looked at our lives, and, you don't have people commuting as much. You have them want to spend more time with their families and really kind of balancing that out. Supply chain uncertainty, we deal a lot with supply chain. So we've always kind of had that pressure. Until Christmas before last, or maybe last holidays, I didn't know that most people knew what supply chain was, but when their kids' toys weren't getting delivered for the holidays and they couldn't get toilet paper, all of a sudden we were extremely relevant. One of our directors, in fact, he's a Harvard Business School professor. He's actually became the de facto guru on toilet paper shortages. He didn't mean to become this way. Beginning, somebody had talked to him, somebody had interviewed him about shortages, and he gave it as an example. And now he's the de facto guru. Global recession and inflation, we're all living through this. As a global company in 30 different countries, each country, each region is impacted differently. And so I try and come at it with a very humane and caring way with our colleagues or around the world, everyone, because there's just no way to get through it. The Russian-Ukrainian war, we actually have some customers in Ukraine. So we had to think through getting people out, things that I never thought we would ever have to think through in our lives. Geopolitical issues, climate change is obviously there and is not changing ironically, or is changing, unfortunately. So these are all things that kind of weigh on all of us in different facets of our lives. And, how do we not break from all of that pressure? The normal human response is to freeze, run, something along those lines, right? Or in the headlights. I get it. I get some time. I will sit there and I'll be like, oh my God, the cortisol is coming in and I'll know it's happening. Maybe I should take the 17 seconds and retrain my brain. I wouldn't have this issue, and I plan to. But we all have it. It's part, and it messes up our rational thinking and ways to approach things that aren't emotional and just kind of a knee-jerk reaction. So as leaders, I found, especially, I would say the most successful leaders I've been around have been those who have stayed calm and they've stayed positive. Maybe even if they're freaking out, they just find a way to, with those around them, stay calm, deliberately calm, to kind of bring it down. I mean, every crisis is different, and lots of them are not the end of the world, but sometimes they all feel like they're at the end of the world, especially if you take them all together. They can seem very overwhelming. So what do you do? I think that picture is not actually me, those two pictures, but I have looked at that many, many times. Particularly, I mean, in law school, I came from a background where I was the first person in my family to go to college. My father is a truck driver. He does not value education at all. And so I benefited in some ways because I didn't have the added pressure of my parents being super successful. So like I could actually do no wrong in a lot of ways. But then I put so much pressure on myself. So how do you get out of that kind of cyclical behavior? When I first started as an associate here in Silicon Valley, I remember grappling with, I know I might have a perfectionist issue. Like the first few emails I sent out I was like, is it please find attached or attached, please find? I don't know how long I wasted thinking about that, but I've had over the years, because there's been so many pressure times that I've had to like step back and be like, okay, I've gotten through this before. This isn't the end of the world. We're all going to get through this together. And so for me, these are the 4 elements that have really kind of helped me not crack under pressure. I talked a little bit before about deliberate calm. And this is kind of, the normal response is to pounce into action. I would say pause for pouncing. Take a step back and think through kind of what is the outcome? How serious is this? What do I really need to do? And don't come from like an irrational emotional reaction, but kind of step back and think through kind of where you want to be, what needs to happen, and how you get there. Resiliency. I've had a lot of things in my life growing up. My stepfather passed away of cancer while I was in college, and I got the best set of grades I got that semester. Probably some therapist is like, okay, you probably compartmentalized too much. But that was the way kind of I got through it. And so I level set with that experience with those things that I'm going through. Is this really the end of the earth? What can I do to make this better? And I've gotten through worse situations, so I can continue on. Relationships. Now, for me, relationships, there's kind of 2 parts here. There's your work colleague relationships. And for the most part, you better like them because you're going to spend more time with them than you probably do your families in a lot of ways. So I foster those relationships in times that are not in crisis, because when there is a crisis, you need to have those relationships in place. So for us, I deal with our board of directors a lot, and our company had a lot over the years. I've been there 7 years. 2018, we had a major whistleblower thing, which led to a material weakness, which led to shareholder litigation. Our CEO left. We got a new CEO, new CFO. Half of our board is new. It was just like constantly changing. And a large part of the way to get through that is building these relationships, particularly with some of our board members who saw me as a trusted advisor, trusted partner, and I the same. So even if there's a mess up along the way, they get over it because they know you're trying your best, you've worked through it, that sort of stuff. So relationships for work, and then relationships, family and friends, and fostering those relationships. What do we all do this for? I enjoy my job. I love it, but I love my family more. And so a lot of it is so that my family can have a different kind of life I did growing up. Self-care. I probably am not very good at this. I wish I was better. 17 seconds. I'm going to do it. Similar to you, your first story really resonated with me. I broke my back in a car accident in 2014. Basically didn't have to have surgery, but I had to go through a lot of stuff. I had always been like work, school, work, all the things, like all the way through. I took 10 months off to try and heal myself and prioritize self-care. Now I do it in different ways at work. Like if I can't get in an exercise, I'll be like, okay, 10 minutes of meditation on the Peloton app, just going to have to do it today. And I'll be like, oh, I don't really have time for this, but I'll force myself to do it. And I notice a difference in how I'm feeling. And it helps me to remain calm in situations as they evolve and escalate. So this is McKinsey's really good for those of you who don't kind of subscribe to their regular learning. McKinsey's really good at putting out things like this. It's kind of another look at how to remain calm. Prioritize. What are your priorities? Why are you doing things? Your roles with work, family members, and kind of be inspirational. I love mentoring, and I love really, helping bring the next generation leaders along. And so that's a huge, and I think if you're a leader who's freaking out during a crisis, you're not going to have that connection with a mentee. They're not going to want you to mentor them for sure. Time, be present when you're present. I struggle with my biggest crisis today was my son he's 5.5. Was like his school ends on a minimum day. He's supposed to go to soccer practice. How am I going to get him? I'm here. My husband can't get off. Which is a small crisis on the grand scheme of things that I'm working with work. But for my family, it's like, I want him to have fun and go to soccer. So prioritizing that, and then knowing I'm coming here and then going to the office after this and being present in each one of those. And knowing when I have to make trade-offs, self-awareness and kind of energy practices I went through with in the self-care realm. This is just another interesting thing from the University of Berkeley on kind of your and performance based on stress levels, low, medium, high, and performance. You can see it's like a curve that's in the middle for optimal performance. No big surprise. Some of us, I used to be a deal junkie, as you call them, when I was in private practice at a law firm. And I would just go adrenaline to adrenaline, deal to deal to deal. Ultimately, that's not a way to work. My boss views things as an opportunity. And he once said to me, when we were going through all these crises at Flex, he said, Heather, just view this as a development opportunity. And I looked at him and we're very close. And I said, I do. And I appreciate everything. Sometimes I would just like to develop a little less. Could I take 6 months of no development? So I've had to put some boundaries in to get myself off the hamster wheel. And I think that's important to kind of get that of the range ops performance, if you will. And, who doesn't love her? And for me, I always prioritize with, in a crisis, what do I care about fighting for? What is really actually important? And how do you get others to come along with you? Have it be important enough for them as told you I was going to be fast. My grandmother was a New Yorker, so I talked very fast. And our board of directors constantly gives me challenges, do presentations very quickly, but yet get the materials out.
Hey, my friend, if you enjoyed listening to this podcast, be sure to rate, review, and share your biggest takeaway. And if you're wanting more, you can access hundreds of recent speakers, book summaries, great articles, and more at no additional charge through your membership portal. You can also get involved in a Women Leaders Association mastermind group or a networking group near you. Or if you just need to access your membership portal, simply go to womenleaderspodcast.com to be connected. Because here at Women Leaders Association, we believe we go further, faster, and have more fun when we go together. That's all for today, my friends. Bye for now.